Let's get some analysis in the lead up to the January 8th statement with analyst Professor Booysen. Susan, you can see that, there have been a series of events in the lead up to January 8th tomorrow. Of course, it's been an unusual, if not historic time for the ANC. We saw them concluding their national conference virtually, and the resounding message seems to be one of pulling ranks, closing ranks, and pulling the party together. What makes this event, this anniversary, particularly important for the ANC against that backdrop?
Yes, good afternoon, Iman. It is indeed a very crucial meeting for the ANC and series events in the midst of which we are now and leading into elections. And we really should be seeing the current developments and conference, conclusion of the electoral conference, and now tomorrow's January 8th statement as integral parts to the ANC's 2024 election campaign. So it is off to a reasonably good launch, and we see an ANC that is well controlled, very strictly controlled, but in that control is also showing unity, is showing some generational turnover. We see a new type of NEC evolving in the ANC, combined with very strong support for Cyril Ramaphosa. And these are very important developments in ANC's launch into election 2024. And we see that message repeatedly being stressed by the ANC, by Cyril Ramaphosa, by Fikile Mbalula, and several others who've been acting as spokespersons for the ANC, that this is a time when they realize it's absolutely crucial for them to regain the trust and confidence of the electorate, and this makes this conference and the current events so historic, that the ANC is really on the verge of losing, potentially, but losing an outright majority and ending a period, an epoch of liberation movement dominance in South Africa. And for the ANC, it is very much about reversing those historical trends towards further decline.
Well, let's talk about history. This event is happening again in Mangaung. It's the place where the ANC was born. And in fact, the president spent yesterday laying wreaths on the grave sites of the stalwarts of the party. How does it reconcile, the party now, reconcile the highest aspirations of its founding fathers? How does it reanimate the glory days with the realities of its failures staring them in the face and in the flesh in Mangaung? It's a place that is riven with dysfunction.
Yes, that's a very severe ironies, contradictions that are emerging here. And this week's events there in Mangaung also remind us on 2012, where the ANC celebrated its centenary at this exact site in Mangaung, at the Windhoek site, at the point where the several pilgrimages are being made now. And for the ANC, this is so pivotal to reignite that inspiration, to that vision of the ANC as a liberation movement, not just a formal liberation movement, but the way it wants the population to see it as a continuous, ongoing liberation movement. And it spares no effort and no action on the ground in Mangaung and surrounds to bring home that message, to try to reinforce that message, that it is a historic liberation movement, that it deserves to still have the trust and confidence of the population, and in particular the electorate.
We listened to the president yesterday, Susan, being adamant that this January 8th would be a moment of reunification for the party. He said yesterday it's about getting the bones of people like Dr. James Moroka and the Reverend Zacchaeus Mahabane to talk to the current ANC. Given that just yesterday, SG Fikile Mbalula said Phala was not on its national conference agenda, Chairman Gwede Mantashe expressing intolerance and censure for any kind of disruptive behavior tomorrow. Is the party's leadership and new NEC, from your vantage point, firmly in charge?
It is conditionally in charge, and that probably means not firmly in charge. It is conditionally in charge in as far as the ANC that we've seen, some of the provinces have not been convening, two of them have not managed to convene their conferences. The leagues of the ANC are under interim, largely under interim management. And we see that, for example, as was illustrated at the policy conference in mid last year, that there was very strict control over the expression of potential dissent. It is currently, I would say, in the balance whether there is control or not, because the now dominant ANC, that one under which Cyril Ramaphosa is in charge, that one is struggling to be confirmed, seriously confirmed, unambiguously confirmed as the leader of the ANC. But given these conditionalities and the effects, the different measures of control on which ANC depends, on which a CR22 group depends to remain in charge, that remains to be seen whether they will be able to control this ANC. We've already seen there had to be mild compromises, but quite definitive on a step aside, and softening that approach to corruption, on serious efforts to make the members of the ANC and the branches of the ANC believe that this is the ANC of power. Because if they see that this is the ANC of power, then they may very well give their support to the Ramaphosa leadership. But the ANC is a very particular type of political animal at the stage of its existence, and it can swing in any direction. And in the new generations, cohorts of leadership, as we also see emerging through the new NEC, they could very much take over the ANC in future.
For someone, Susan, who wonders why all this coverage, why all this focus on not only this event, but of course the national conference leading up to it, how do you explain what's in it for them and why it is important to listen to the direction, or at least the strategic direction, as far as we've been told, that the party is now heading towards?
Yes, Iman, the ANC remains a very dominant party in society, even if it is seriously declined over the years, especially since 2004. And we see the ANC recognize it in its own documentation. Even if that is happening, and even if it is in question whether the ANC come 2024 elections will still be able to maintain national and the bulk of the provincial mandates of the electorate, it is quite clear that the ANC is still the biggest party, by far the biggest party in South Africa. And even if it has to enter into coalition politics come 2024, national, province, for example, besides the local where it's already happening, even if that is to happen, then it will still remain a big and a leading party in society. And given that, it is very important to watch very closely for us now through these events, what is happening in the ANC, what direction the ANC is indicating it will be taking in future, because that will affect stability and effectiveness of government. And it is definitely the task of the citizenry and the electorate to express its views on how effective, how convincing, how persuasive these messages of the ANC are, of how much the ANC can indeed believe that it is on the verge, that it still has the potential to do things better and differently.
Professor Susan Booysen, thank you very much for your time this evening. Appreciate it.